What's going on? It's Greg. Greg said it. Back with the inspiration motivation, which is the second of the day. We had a nice live today. We were talking about the story of the two Colorados. That's what I call it. I've always said Colorado is their biggest enemy, and they can be extremely dangerous, or they can be to another team, or they can be extremely dangerous to themselves. And I've been saying that for a long time, and that's been their trouble. I don't know so much with Nebraska, it's just they didn't show up, but we've seen it in Kansas State, we've seen it in Kansas, and then we've seen it here in the bowl game, the Alamo Bowl. And what we discovered is that in Colorado, we don't know who's gonna show up really. I mean, they could be very explosive, they can be very slow. The defense can be very aggressive, very dominant, or they could be very passive, miss a lot of tackles. And we've seen this in more than one game. So it's not a coincidence like, oh, this just happened at one situation. This is the away game, or even when I was saying the night game, it happened more night games than not. Well, there are a lot of night games. But it's like, when they play away, they play better, they bond. No, they after bye week, okay, this doesn't help. There's a lot of theories we have, but a lot of them was busted, especially with the Kansas game. It wasn't after a bye. It wasn't a late night. It was a away game. And what we just really have to come to grips with is that Colorado has some challenges. And, haters talk about them and we talk about them. But I'm the kind of person that even when they were winning, I would point out certain things like this come at the bite us. We don't fix it. Like we got away with it because we're just so much more talented, or the team we're playing is not as incompatible or whatever. And I would say things and people like, just be happy about the win, but then they'd be the first one complaining about the loss, or maybe not. Some people just say, oh, well, we did good enough, long as we had a winning record. Everybody's standard is not the same in life. Like your standard is not my standard is not yours. I was the kind of person who felt like when they set the goal for the bowl game, they sold themselves short just to get there. Then you say, okay, we're gonna win. Okay, it's like you add on as you go. Okay, well, we got the bowl eligibility, let's go to the playoff. It don't work like that. Because it's how you start off a thing is how you gonna finish it. There's no slow start and then you gonna increase. It just don't work like that, unfortunately. How you do one thing, it's a lot of principles. How you do one thing, how you do everything. It's a lot of things that determine your success. Sometimes we don't know, sometimes we luck up and hit certain markers, and sometimes we just find ourselves in inconsistent places because we don't know what got us to success and we kind of just rolling the dice. But it's certain principles. And I think Coach Prime do his best to have certain mindset, like being on time, working hard. They try to instill it, but it's hard when people think they know more than you, or they hard head, or they gotta learn on their own, kids. And it's a lot of them. And maybe even coaches. And I know you experienced that last year where people, a lot of times, unless you've been in leadership, you wouldn't know. But if you do, you'll know when you're in leadership and you need people to kind of be on the same page with you. Even in a family, even with a marriage, it's important to be on the same page, even with a small group to align. And you have multiple coaches and people who may disagree with stuff. They make certain comments. They be passive aggressive. Who knows? So you got a lot going on when you got that many people involved. Players, staff, coaching, trainers. And you really have to buy in a culture. And yeah, it could take time, especially when you're bringing in new people every year. And sometimes pressure, opposition exposes how people really feel. Like when you win it, people look good. But adversity tends to show how you really feel. Are you on the same page? How you gonna respond? And that's the challenge. I think the biggest thing when you're going through challenges or just anything, you gotta be objective and you gotta be critical in a sense. Evaluate at all times, because even when you win it, there's things you can correct. And even some of those things you don't correct can cause you to lose later. And that's what I was saying with Colorado. And I feel like looking at them all the way to their last game, I feel like a lot of the things that we will point out, it did come back to get them. Okay, this is not the playoff, this is not the championship for the conference, but okay, this is the bowl game. And we're looking at a situation where some of the adjustments wasn't made on that line. A lot of complaints about the play calling and not running the ball and why we can't run the ball, and those adjustments wasn't made. 2, not throwing the ball away, taking 30-yard sacks. Some of the sacks you taking, it make the line look like it's on, but half of them's on him. Those adjustments were made, and we know the conversations we had. I've seen some of the conversations, but people tend to blow stuff off. Like, yeah, whatever. We all could do that. But the lesson is, if you don't make the correction, it's gonna be on you at the end of the day. Somebody can tell you all day, do this, do that, and you be like, no, I'm good, and you don't make that adjustment, then boom, it's on you. You gotta be willing to not just take criticism. Cause I think sometimes people take certain criticism that they feel like taking, but certain criticism, I ain't taking that criticism. And that can be in any area of life. You could be like, I take criticism on my job, but you ain't gonna tell me how to live my life. You ain't gonna tell me how to eat. They won't listen to the doctor. Stuff like that. Like, I leave it somehow. And we all have a tendency. Some people listen more than others, but even the so-called best listeners can have a tendency to be selective on what they listen to. And that thing you select not to listen to could turn around and bite you in the rear. Comparing that to Colorado, that's exactly what I feel like happened. Like, whatever adjustments they didn't make, somebody keeps saying you make these same mistakes, they're going to keep exposing that. They keep doing the stuff that worked, and it looked the same, you getting the same result. And you're not making adjustments, and the other team, like, I hope they don't make the adjustments, because we're gonna take advantage of that. And it looked like the same type of play from how they choose to. And I saw it last year, too. Like, how they chose to attack, too. They couldn't stop them throwing the ball, so they blitzed them to death. They did certain stuff to the line. If you're not making those adjustments, and they watching this film, you playing an in-conference foe, like a BYU, who pretty much all the film they watch, it's going to run across you multiple times. Just because you didn't play them, that don't mean that in the same conference, 90% of who they played going to have film with you in it. They can see your tendencies. If they're getting paid that kind of money and they got that kind of experience, they know the tendencies. And if you don't make the adjustment, you just did them a favor. I really didn't see a lot of adjustments in, like, the offensive play calling with the sideways. We've been kind of get vertical for a long time. Sideways passing. All these little hitches and screens and bubble screens and tunnel screens and all screen. And it's like I said earlier, you're not doing nobody no disadvantage. You're doing them a favor because you're not using your speed. You allow you to stay in front of them. You're not making them run with you upfield. You're not doing no trickery, no nothing to make them have to question. They can just bomb rush you on these hitches, bomb rush the quarterback. They have nothing to fear. They have no complexity to the looks that you're giving them to even throw them off that is a hitch, or that, hey, you pull up, we'll pull up and throw it. So keeping you honest. Your run formations always look the same. Where you run is like, it's very plain. It's very right up the gut, right up the back of your line. So people start complaining about the coordinator and all of that. We're not gonna get into all that, but it goes without saying. If you don't make adjustments in life, you just have the same stuff happen. You'll make the same money. You'll have the same issues, same health issues, the same financial issues, the same relational issues, because you refuse to grow. A lot of things that we could do to grow. I used to read a lot of personal growth books. I believe I need to get back to it because, boy, there's a lot of negativity in this world, and it's like oxygen. It's like it feels fresh when you focus on things. Even if everything the same, because you're not focused on it, it just makes you feel better. You go to, networking, conferences, things like that, or just certain groups. Some people find that in church, hopefully, if you're going. Hopefully that's what you're finding. Hope you're not going there finding negativity or whatever. But your ability to grow, your ability to be positive is a good thing, because you should be progressing. You shouldn't get found in the same place a year from later. And if it's a year later, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you shouldn't be in the same mental state, in the same physical state. You should be better, not worse. Even with aging, you could get better in some capacity. You can become more knowledgeable, you can become more disciplined. That's what Colorado's gonna have to do. Going into a new year, new players, God forbid you repeat the same patterns, the same mentalities, the same habits of a group. Because technically we don't have two different groups, because the first group came, you washed them out, got a whole nother second group. Look like you washing this out again from the people transferring and the people who moving on. You washing them out, you got a third group. So you're not necessarily got the same people. And then people start questioning coaches and stuff like that. And even with that, Coach Lohart is gone. Coach Dancy is gone. They won Mississippi State. They gone. Dancy 2 years, Lohart 1 year. Moving up to the SEC. I don't know what their roles are. Hopefully they're going up. But the thing is, that's a change. That's a change on opening for an offensive line coach. Because this is the first time. And in 1 year, he gone. Boom. That's fast upgrade. Promotion or whatever again. Because it was his first time being an offensive line D coach, not the assistant. And boom, we bumping up, right? Dancy, hopefully he get a lead position for a guy who went from a swag HBCU to the Power 5 and boom, in the SEC within 2 years. You can't say much about that that's negative. Coach Prime, I haven't seen that happen. I doubt that would have happened. If he was doing good, he was at the peak, he was at the pinnacle when you're a head coach. And yeah, it was not a great school. His best thing probably would have been to move up within the rankings of the SWAC and go to maybe not a Jackson State, but Alabama State, higher than what he was at Mississippi Valley, which was lower level, program, whatever. But to see that's a positive. That's growth. I mean, he's growing. And I just hope that with who's ever coming in, will take him to the next level, with jail. Maybe they bring somebody in-house, I don't know. But to jail with the SAP and then Coach Lewis, and hopefully Coach Lewis be there. Because Coach Sapp came to help Coach Prime. He wasn't necessarily trying to find his next opportunity. But for them to jail, that's important. And it's important that this next year's team shows progress in the areas of penalties, in the areas of slow starts. Don't show the same traits, because the players are different. And we need to see growth. We need to see better tackling, a better linebacker play, growth. And we're not just stacking on a better. Okay, we went from 4-8, we went 1-11 to 4-8 to 9-3. We're not just stacking on that. We also stacking on development and progress, not the same weaknesses. Can't have the same weaknesses. Get better in those areas. Offensive line needs to get better. Whatever you got to do, whoever you need to find. Less sacks, less issues with stunts and all of that. Less penalties. Penalties overall, penalties, a false start, all that type of stuff. That's the ultimate goal. Everybody needs to grow. We getting ready to go into a new year in a few days. And we use that symbolic because, depending on your culture, the new year already happened or whatever you feel. But it's symbolic of new, at least on the calendar. You're going from a new year to a whole fresh start of the year. And you can take advantage of that to set goals. You can take advantage of that to be better. Because like I said, you don't want to be in the same place year after year. Colorado don't want to be in the same place year after year. You don't want to be in the same place year after year. I don't want to be in the same place year after year. So that's how I look at it, y'all. Again, I always say this thing is deeper than football. Hopefully y'all get that by now. If you're new, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Greg said it. I'll be talking to y'all soon. Y'all have a good one. And if I don't see you before New Year, have a happy New Year.